Okay, hello everyone! You might be wondering why we're seeing Baldman today, but for Escapologist, there's a lot of buffs on nerfs here from the test server side, and it may just be implemented for next season as well. So let's have a look at all of them then, shall we? First and foremost will be Escapologist. This is quite lengthy, so stay with me for a bit. For Escapologist, right now, his turbo cooldown has been reduced from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. If I just turn off cooldown depletion here and we throw the turbo down, turbo, as you can see, is now 20 seconds instead of 30 seconds. This, honestly speaking, is really good from the side of Escapologist as well, because this turbo lasts for a total of 15 seconds. So this just means that there's actually an only 5-second cooldown on your turbo before you can use it again. That's his buff number 1. Buff number 2, what will it be? When you throw your turbo down, you will be able to see the hunter's outline regardless of whether they're in the smoke or not in the smoke. So if I just walk back here, the hunter will always be outlined no matter what happens, and this works for any survivor. So it's not just for Escapologist himself, it's also for all the other survivors out there too. Okay, the next one is he actually gets a movement speed boost from entering and leaving the turbo. So there's a movement speed boost of 1 second for 35%, and it will trigger once every 2.5 seconds. As you can see here, there should be a speed boost here. As you can see, 35 seconds for 1 second, and it only triggers once every 0.25 seconds. So once you leave it, it will always reactivate. If you throw the turbo down here, let's say put it at a corner like this, what you basically can do is you can leave, gain your speed boost. As you can see, it's very obvious. Get back in, leave, gain your speed boost. As you can see, very obvious with a speed boost. Get back in, and then leave. It's basically entering and leaving, right? So like, let's say in an example, if you actually get into the smoke zone, now you leave, you can see there was a bit of a movement speed boost. And then when you, this is leaving again, excuse me, but let's do it when you're entering this time. I'm going to put it here. When you enter as well, it also gives you movement speed boost. So here, as you can see, there's a small bit of movement speed boost here of 35% for 1 second when you leave and enter. It's not, it's leaving and entering. So by technicality, really good containment. What you can do is you throw turbo down, gain your movement speed boost. Okay, it's in 2.5 seconds. Once it's over, leave it instantly and you'll have it again. So as long as you stay around the edge here, it will always be really good for you. Okay, so the next one here is kind of interesting because when the hunter hits you while you're vaulting, we all know that misdirection actually gets activated. But if it follows up by an immediate second vault right there, as you can see, the vaulting is way faster. That's basically this guy's second buff. Well, not second, but, you know, 5th buff by this point, honestly. Of course, since we're getting cheered here by the Bloody Queen, his turbo, his escape pact here has been improved as well. It's now 47 meters instead of 38 meters too. So here you can see, right, we can go quite a far way away from this area, and you can see there too, right, there was 5 chairs that we can kind of select it on. However, the only exchange for this is that the locking here is now 1 second extra instead of just 6 seconds. So it's now 7 seconds instead of 6 seconds. It's a really good buff, honestly, because like you only use your turbo really early on in towards the game. However, I do think this is probably a bit bad if you're up against Mad Eyes, but that is all Escapologist buff. Yeah, let's have a look at Patient. So Patient will be slowly transitioning a little bit closely towards Toy Merchant right now. When his hooks gets basically cancelled by basic attacks from hunters, it now won't be cancelled anymore. So just to showcase to you here as well, right, we are going to turn on AI controls where Mary will have to chase us. We're gonna throw hooks. Okay, this is going to be a bit harder to do, but this is how it's gonna work. Basically, Patient's next buff is if his hooks get cast like pre-cast, as in if it's still during animation, it will not be consumed. As you can see here, our hooks are currently 3 on the bottom left. I'm just gonna turn off disable cooldown here too. And right before this reaches 100, I'm gonna cast my hook to see if we can get a refund. We basically took the damage and consumed, so that's not the right way to do it. Then this time what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the cue ball here from Qist. So when the cue ball is about to come through, we're going to use our hooks. We're using out. Oh, there, as you can see, the hook goes immediately into cooldown, but it was not consumed. Let's see if we can try this again. It's a bit harder to pull off here, but let's give it a shot. And the cue ball's on his way in. Oh, there you go. The hook was not consumed, right? We were stunned. And there you see, it's already into cooldown depletion. Of course, for Patient's next buff, we've actually shortened the pre-hook animation. So this pre-hook animation is actually way faster. Now, as you can see here, instead of standing on the ground for 1 second before he can go out, it's basically immediate right now. This is really good for Patient because it just makes it harder for hunters to actually cancel his hook animation unless maybe Blink was invested. The next buff is actually the hook pull speed. You can see as well, right, during the previous buff that we said as well about his hook precast being faster. The hook speed here is also really fast too. You can basically get towards the wall faster, and you can have an easier time of pulling out of the way, you know, with the distance too. We've also optimized Patient's landing animation after vaulting and after dashing down from areas as well. You can see here it is a bit nicer and a bit smoother too, and especially when you're trying to get up stories like this, it's way easier to do so as well. Let's get it towards an angle here, maybe. There we go. The landing animation is kind of like way smoother and better now. Now then, let's have a look at Ento. Ento got two really nice buffs as well, and she also got buffed for last season too. But what are her buffs? The first one is the bee cooldowns here is actually reduced from 3 seconds to 0.2, well, to 2.5 seconds, excuse me. So it's basically faster now for you to be able to get on bees and get off bees. Here, as you can see, we're controlling the bees, and the cooldown now is way faster compared to before. And of course, the next buff here is actually mounting bees is way faster too. So instead of there being like a slower animation, this is just way faster. You can clearly see the difference as well from normal server and test server. Okay, let's look at Lucky Guy's nerfs then. For Lucky Guy, every chest he opens adds an extra 2.5 seconds for the next chest opening speed, which in total it adds up to 7.5 seconds. So for the first chest, you still open it like 100% faster, and you can get your item too. However, when we go to the next chest here, this chest will now take 2.5 seconds extra to open. So as we can see here, we wish for something random. The chest, as you can see, speak clearly, you know, you can see the difference as well. It is now 2.5 seconds longer. Now, if we go towards a third chest here as well, which is just at this corner too, you can see the 5-second increase on the chest as well, coming towards this chest. Let's have it opened real quick. If it decides to actually recover fast enough, there we go. Let's maybe look for a gun here. And chest number 3 here actually takes way longer to open compared to before. You can see it is really long right now. And then we'll go towards the big rock near the big gate, near big boat. And this chest should take 7.5 seconds longer to open. But basically, how the maths work is Lucky Guy initially takes 5 seconds to open the chest. And then with the extra 7.5 seconds, it now takes 12.5 seconds to open the chest the more you open as well. So here, as you can see, searching for an item such as a pocket watch, now it takes really long. So this kind of de-incentivizes Lucky Guy with opening more chests than he should. For Cheerleader, the Cheerleader got really nice buffs too. So for the first buff from Cheerleader side, her movement speed debuff is now 30% instead of 40% after using a pom-pom. So if we use the pom-pom here and we see up here as well, the movement speed debuff is actually now 30%. So this makes her really good of a supporter too. If we use it here just one more time and just to showcase to everyone here as well, she gains 40% movement speed boost. However, she only has 30% movement debuff. So that is really good on Cheerleader. Encouragement stacks has also been buffed as well. Instead of it being 26, 38 and 43 stacks for each use of trying to get from half health back to full health, or even from in cap to half health, it is now 25, 35 and 40 stacks. Let's have a look at Goatman. So for Goatman, as you can see on the bottom hand of our screen, the max resentment stacks actually has been reduced from 120 to 110 stacks. We have also reduced tier 2 recovery speed for the resentment stacks from 2.1 per second to 2 per second. Overall, this just means that you get your stacks way slower now when you are at max presence 2. 0.1 might not seem like a lot, but it will kind of affect Goatman quite a bit, especially in tournaments as well. Now then, for Goatman's last nerf, it's actually his cages overall. So basically what's happening now with his cages is Survivor can pass through the paid cages every 1.6 seconds instead of every 1.8 seconds. So as you can see here, this is genuinely speaking way faster to play mind games around now. And it basically just hurts this guy even more because it just means you can play more mind games and it's easier to kite him within the cages too. Hullabaloo also got some nerfs as well. His nerf mainly comprises of his skill cooldown being increased. So what is the first one? The first one is that his double surprise cooldown is now from 14 seconds to 15 seconds. That is now a 1 second increase on this skill. And of course, for his next skill increase cooldown will actually be his trapeze. His trapeze now will be 20-second cooldown instead of 19-second cooldown. You basically have less likely chance code of dashing, and if you do miss one more double surprise, you will have more or less you'll have less likely of a chance to be able to win. And then let's have a look at Breaking Wheel. Breaking Wheel also receives some nerfs as well, and it comprises of his skill. So for his first one, it's actually his Wheel of Silence, which is the speed boost. The cooldown here is now 20 seconds instead of 18 seconds per each charge. If we just wait for that to be fully stacked and we use it instantly, you can see there right now, it's now a 20-second cooldown instead of 18 seconds too. And of course, for his next nerf, you will be able to see Reticent here, which is this ability being longer of a cooldown time as well. It will now take 16 seconds to charge instead of 14 seconds to charge. So now let's have a look at Wu Chang. Wu Chang got a nerf as well, but it's only one slight nerf, which is nice to see, but they've basically reverted his buff. Linger effect when being placing umbrellas on survivors is now basically 5 seconds instead of 8 seconds. I'm not too sure why they decided to nerf this, whether or not it's because they think that Wu Chang is really strong because of that effect, or maybe because of his map control for decoding debuff, but I don't really think it was a necessity to nerf him. Maybe in ranks it was a bit bad, but I guess in tourneys it was just fine, as we have seen before too. But this is Wu-Wu's nerf. Let's move on straight towards the survivor, and the hunter's personas then, shall we? Let's have a look at personas now. So for persona, we're going to do Hunter's personas first real quick, and the first one will be Overwhelmed. When you hit a survivor and when you knock them down, Overwhelmed gives you 5, 10 and 15% attack recovery boost for each 2/3/4 survivors that you have knocked down. This was the effect before. Now what they've basically done is, when there are 2/3/4 survivors that has been chaired, then Overwhelm will be activated. So if we go to Psycho here and we kind of knock her down as well, Overwhelm will not be activated, and it will only be activated if she is on chair at least once. And I feel like from the side of Overwhelm here, this forces the hunter to actually chair the survivor. But you can see here, right, no Overwhelm on our top left, but if I decide to pick this Psycho up, and if I decide to drop her down on towards the chair, there we go. My stackers of Overwhelm is here right now. So you actually have to chair the survivors instead of them being on the ground. I do see this as a nerf. The next nerf on the side of Hunter's persona is Obsession. So for Obsession, you initially get 6% movement speed boost after leaving a survivor or changing targets. Now you only get a 5% movement speed boost after leaving. So here, as you can see, Obsession has been activated. It is now 5% for 15 seconds instead of 6% for 15 seconds. Okay, let's now look at Panic. So basically what happens with Panic is, Panic was originally at 3% basically debuff on all fronts. Now it's been reduced to 2.5%, as you can see here, right? So this simply just means a total of 12, well, it's not 12%, a total of 3 by 4, which is, yes, 12%, is now 2.5 by 4, which is 8%. So there's a total of 4% reduction in this ability compared to before. So from 12% overall, reducing survivor decoding, healing, destroying, is now 8% instead. Addiction has also been nerfed here too. So when we stun the hunter, there is currently 3 nerfs for addiction. The first one is the area of effect is now 20 meters instead of 24 meters. The second one is, instead of it being 20% maximum, 10% minimum for the slow debuff, it is now 16% to 8%. And of course, the duration has been reduced from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. If we stun here, we can see here, right, with addiction, you don't really see it, but it definitely is slower compared to before. Okay, let's have a look here at Wanted Order. So Wanted Order got a really big patch, so I'm gonna show it to you here and just walk you through it slowly as well, so it's a bit easier for everyone to understand. When a survivor is now placed on a rocket chair and there's still 3 survivors that are healthy out there, the outline of a random survivor will be shown for 10 seconds for the first stack. And of course, the movement debuff is reduced by 2, 1 and 0%. But this is an important part. For 1 stack, the survivor will be shown for 10 seconds. For 2 stacks, the survivor will be shown for 30 seconds, and your movement speed debuff is only 1%. And then for 3 stacks is the original Wanted Order effect. right, it'll be shown, the survivor or random survivor will be outlined and be shown to the hunter, and of course it'll be shown for another 20 seconds after the survivor has been rescued from the rocket chair. This is a huge nerf on Wanted Order, and I love Wanted Order, but I'm very sad about this. From the side of claustrophobia, it also got a nerf too. So for claustrophobia right now, instead of 70% and 15% exit gauge opening debuff, it is now 60 and 10%. We're going to test out the 60% instead of 10% here, just because, you know, 4-man endgame, 60% does hurt quite a bit, but they did decide to nerf this because, you know, hunters were dying way too easily as well. So we're gonna pop all cipher machines and we're gonna start decoding. This is 60% claustrophobia debuff here from the side of Hellember, as you can see here too. It doesn't really seem like it's, well, no, it's 65%, excuse me, I said 60% by accident. But yes, 65%. So it's basically a 5% reduction on both 4-man endgame and 3-man endgame, but it is still a relatively nice, you know, buff from the side of survivors. Actually have a look at Famine's buff here. So for Famine, the decoding debuff has been basically increased from 6% to 9%, as you can see up here. More or less right now, Famine just allows slow moving hunters and, you know, just hunters overall like Joseph and Hermit to be able to map control a little bit better early game. The next persona that has been buffed is actually Street Sweeper. So for Street Sweeper, basically what's happening here is the range is now 32 meters no matter what happens. And they've also kind of slightly adjusted the healing debuff. The healing debuff now is currently 20, 40 to 60%. So like initially it was 25, 25, excuse me, 40 and 55%. Now it's 20, 40 to 60. So it's like a small adjustment, but it's basically saying the more you stack, the better it is. However, the distance will now always be 32 meters no matter what, compared to before where the first stack was only 24 meters. We're gonna have a look at Vigilance here, but basically Vigilance movement speed bonus is now increased from 6% to 9%. If we just decode a few cipher machines here just to show you guys too, right? So here as you can see, Vigilance movement speed is now increased by 18%, and pallet drop destroying speed is still the same as before, 15%, but it was initially 6% with 2 stacks right now. 18 divided by 2 is 9%. Okay, let's have a look at Giant Claw then. For Giant Claw, they've actually buffed this quite a lot. So the decoding debuff now is 15, 20, 25% instead of 10, 15, and 20% right now when you rescue or if the survivor struggles out free. If we just see here, you can see it up here. Well, you can't see it up here, but since it doesn't show the decoding debuff progress, but it has been adjusted. It has been adjusted. Shelter has also been reduced too. So Shelter has been nerfed right now. Self-healing speed and healing speed while downed is reduced to 8, 16, and 24% overall. So then like it actually takes survivors longer to heal themselves. Now if they did bring this, we'll test this out on Doctor 2, but that's going to be for another video. From the side of survivors Persona 2, when a survivor is on the chair, if there's still more than 3 cipher machines remaining, audience effect now is 12% increase decoding boost instead of 8%. This is really good, especially in duos as well, and when you really want to get that tie. And of course, this is going to be the end of all the survivor persona adjustments, and of course the hunter persona adjustments as well. I'm gonna put an end screen here of the point adjustment system if anyone wants to read it, but that's gonna be it from the end of the video here for me. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new around here, why not subscribe? If you, oh well, I'm not even gonna do that anymore, but you guys know what I mean. Have a good day, good night, and I will see y'all